Welcome back, Dota 2 fans. It's our second game of today's set. It's MRP here, your resident Canadian Dota 2 caster, along with Mike Loris. We're casting viewer games. This one comes brought to you by @J_Wallowitz. So appreciate the contribution to the cause. We are going to hop into this one. Apparently, it's a pretty exciting one. So we'll see how it goes. And after the first game, plebs everywhere. We'll see if we can get some high skill plays in this one.
I'm pretty sure. No, never mind. The draft time coordination thing is whatever. We'll fix it afterwards. But Vengeful Spirit pick, Medusa first pick. You need some balls for that.
Yes.
Unless it's randomed. I don't know. Maybe it'll.
I guess we can't
tell us
really
in the
tell.
chat if it's random. But Medusa first pick is never what you want to be doing. Like ever, even in like the scrubbiest of scrub games, if this was like 100 MMR, you don't want to do Medusa first pick. You can't roll teams by yourself as Medusa. You need a lot of cover. You can get hard countered. Seth has some big ones.
Yeah, definitely so. Darkseer a little more stable pick, and Sand King a bit greedy. So the early roam potential isn't the greatest from the Radiant side this early on. Just Vengeful Spirit having a little bit of gimp range on her spells. Sand King wants to be retreating to the jungle as much as possible. Maybe the Medusa gets a bit of space, but yeah, as you mentioned, first pick, so many potential counters. But we'll end up seeing what MMR range this is, maybe based on the picks from the Radiant side.
Well, yeah, I think last game was probably like 2.53 ish. We'll see this one. Obviously, it's impossible to see from the picks. We don't know if they're 5 queued or solo queue or what. I don't know, at least. Maybe they told you. But either way, it seems like the die are probably going to angle towards some sort of big combo here. I mean, they have the Darkseid, they have the Medusa, and that already is a pretty good 1-2 punch. Just the slow from the Stone Gaze. The inability to really get out of there once you're vacuumed is going to make things potentially very difficult if you're the Radiant side. But of course, you're going up against Medusa. You either pick up the hard counters, those mana burners, or you try to get the tempo of the game such that the Medusa will never have time to actually get to a dangerous state, and that involves just pushing a lot really early. Zeus, Sand King, Vengeful Spirit is kind of in the middle ground. It doesn't seem like they're actually taking advantage of the fact there's a Medusa first pick on the other end.
Yeah, no one is a natural diffusal blade builder. No one has any mana burn. There'll be some double cleave, I suppose, with the Empower and... Okay, so Medusa Anti-Mage on the same team. Oh, it's definitely in the bag, says the Darkseer. We got Medusa and Anti-Mage. How can we lose this one? But either way, the other team, at least the Radiant side, does seem to have a pretty damn good team fight combo. They can cover the initiation of the Magnus with the Thunder God's Wrath. They got RP into Epicenter as well. They've got the Sven, so anytime you bring heroes close together, like with something like an RP, that's going to be certainly helpful towards that Sven. We'll see what ends up happening, but either way, Night Stalker's name is Moraxis, which is a hero from Han, so shame on him. And
can we pause that in a minute on the top timer? Moraxis, I played Moraxis
I'm already
once.
past a minute, so let's do 40 seconds. 40 seconds?
40? Okay. Give me 10 seconds. I played Moraxis once. I fucking demolished everyone.
He's pretty good. He's really good. He snowballs like early, I felt, when I played.
All right, unpaused on 40.
Oh, I unpaused. Here, ready? 3, 2, 1. All right. Anti-Mage is near the stairwell right now for me.
Oh, Zeus fucked up also. He's drinking a Clarity right now.
Nice.
30 seconds to battle.
You don't need that. 50 gold of handicap to send a message. Sounds decent.
I mean, yeah, maybe just a little bit of extra confidence.
Now you can Arc Lightning and have that regen.
He's not.
Without popping.
Why don't I see the buff though of the clarity?
Oh, it's bugged. Okay, never mind. Carl's in a lot of trouble, by the way. Spiked up, Snake's gonna come in. Skewer is gonna hit onto the Medusa, so I guess that hit. Can they kill off this Medusa? Fort Luna, get in there with the Burrow Strike.
Magnus.
He will, and Medusa's gonna die first. Magnus is gonna be just fine as Anti-Mage picked up Blink first, actually. Zeus is also in a lot of trouble, being chased down by the Night Stalker. Zeus is gonna be okay. Is there another skewer? No, not for another 10. Where are you going, Magnus? That's not the direction you want to go if you're going to escape this. Or is it? Apparently it is.
Away.
Void, not enough damage. And now it's the Vengeful Spirit in the Lion to start duking it out. What the hell is going on in this game? These guys should all just calm the hell down. this Vengeful Spirit's really trying to go in deep with this Lion, and she's gonna lose her life because she realizes that there are more heroes than the Lion in this game.
All right, I got some weird buggy crap going on. Just
You fix
better.
that.
Smooth now. I just had to pause and unpause. I guess it was a reborn thing. Ah, they're pausing for me. Look how courteous of these players to know that I would ask their game in the future. But yeah, Medusa. I mean, you first pick it, you die by the rune, right? That's just how things work. I feel.
I mean, she's a pretty shit level 1 hero, like one of the worst.
Yeah.
If not the worst. Like, she doesn't have anything going for her health-wise, damage-wise, spell-wise. She will, however, have a good lane going for her. Magnus is...
Okay, there's an anti-mage mid. Did we notice this yet?
Okay. I thought it was either going to be that or Medusa mid. Like, what are your other options?
Yeah.
This is actually not too bad.
Yeah, it's not terrible, honestly, because it's Zeus.
I've seen Phantom Lancers and Juggernauts go mid pretty frequently. And Zeus is already getting messed up because of that early level 1 engagement. He started things off at like 100 HP. So, Anti-Mage with that advantage, if he gets a magic stick, he could actually just smash this lane just by running at the Zeus. Blink into him once, hit him for all of his mana, then walk away.
When did this decision happen, though? Because he built a poor man's shield. Feels like if you just go for stick, you're much better off against this Zeus, but...
I'm pretty sure, okay, because Medusa died, they
Yeah.
had Anti-Mage just take the mid lane. Otherwise, Medusa was going to go towards mid.
Probably. Feels like that sounds about right, but... Magnus soaking up his level 3 over in his off lane, his laning equivalent in the Darkseer, sitting at about the same. Is going to pick up a haste rune. Vengeful Spirit going to see him do so. So, blink forward down towards Carl from public service. They're rotating in Darkseer. Looking to bring him down potentially with this Ion Shell. He is tanking a lot of tower hits, though.
That coward, that was an easy kill for the Darkseer if he just went in.
Feels like, especially with him tanking the shots, he could have easily gotten some support from public service as well. But Vax out there, at least going to apply some pressure towards the Zeus, who is bottle crowing, but it's going to be a while before the courier is out for him once again and does not have any charges left. So rough early start and good start in the mid lane for an anti-mage. Not that all that often that you hear that, but either way.
Alright, so the Anti-Mage is going to do just fine. Zeus desperately needs his early game mana pool if he's going to have any chance up against, well, any hero, really. And Anti-Mage, honestly, is no exception. With no Bolt, with just Arc Lightning, his spam damage into the Anti-Mage really isn't going to do a ton because of that one value point in Spell Shield. So, good luck chipping him down. He has quite a bit of regen in the Salve and had Tangos earlier, which are now all gone. But again, all he needs to do is get a stick, and this lane is on complete lock almost for the Anti-Mage. Until this Zeus gets to like level 6, 7 area, then things get a lot worse. But by the time that happens, we're at least going to have one gank in by the Lion. That one, okay, that was not really sure what kind of gank that was, but got him.
Okay, well, he's still in range right now. Has the Hex available as well. There's no Mana Void, though, so not that there's much kill potential here. He'll bring the bottle in as well. So Lion's first rotation will be thwarted. As you mentioned, it was a very subtle attempt by the Lion, but either way, when you run at him, good things happen. Jump forward. There's going to be a blink. He's out of tower range. Carl feeling a little bit confident, to say the least. Hex is going to go out, and it's a little bit late. Probably didn't need the Hex at all. Could have used it on the Venge, but either way, they'll net a kill on the Zeus in the mid lane. 2-1. Dire side doing pretty well here. Nice little bounty of 140 experience to both of those heroes. And Lion going to pick up the kill for his troubles. Sand King, Fort Luna, doing a little bit of farming. Only a double stack here, though. So could have had a little bit more prepared for himself. But either way, pretty much retreating off into the jungle. He only has 5 CS on this Sand King thus far. Even the offlane Magnus sitting at 6 right now.
I'm pretty sure he was pulling creeps, but he just didn't get the last hits. That's not really a huge deal. As long as you're getting experience with Sand King, you should be fine. And he's gonna actually stop sandstorming. There's no man on the Lion, but there's a double damage rune, so Fort Luna is still gonna take a little bit of damage. Yeah, kind of honestly just a pure and sheer mistake here from the Zeus. You try to pick a fight versus a Lion level who's pretty much the same level as you are. You have Arc Lightning level 2, which doesn't actually do that much damage. The only reason the spell works is because it hits so many things and it has such a low cooldown, which you can't abuse if you're going 1v1 up against someone and you're out of mana. So Zeus making a pretty big blunder there. Now they have to worry about a Night Stalker coming in. He's only level 2, but with their level 6 Anti-Mage, they can still very easily kill off a Zeus, as he's already at half HP, and his Mana Void's gonna hit pretty hard. And they can also kill the Vengeful Spirit right now if the Anti-Mage wasn't a freaking coward. That was definitely a double kill.
Yeah. So no mana on the Venge, but either way, I guess they'll just take it and go bot lane. They're gonna get the Impale up onto Kiandia. He will pop up the Warcry, but right into the Ion Shell for a little bit. He'll have some of his mana drain, but he will survive for now. Fort Luna rotating in. And not going to find all that much, but just going to secure the life of his safe laner for this moment. And Carl going to rotate back towards that mid lane, sitting on level 5 at this point. The Anti-Mage 6.5 has picked up Phase Boots. Interesting.
I like it. Like, it's not standard, but you know that you're going up against the Zeus, and that's like very similar along the lines of going for a magic stick. Like, you kind of switch up your build a little bit, because you can see that with this item you'll be able to get a lot more done up against your lane opponent. And Zeus, he's already very slow, I mean fairly slow, let's say, but with the phase boost there's no chance he's gonna get out, especially when he gets spiked. Where's the Anti-Mage? Blink in there, you coward. Public service. Come on, Lion's trying to do everything for you and you just leave him hanging like that. Not cool. Over towards top lane, Magnus is gonna die to Meraxes. Night Stalker's gonna grab that kill while that mid lane thing was happening. But yeah, kind of not impressed by this Anti-Mage's ballsiness.
The Lions have been
I feel like he
today.
could be playing this a lot more fast and loose and not really get punished. But something else that I want to draw attention to in this game is the fact that we have a Sven who's 1-3-1 at level 5. And I know that, like, in any given pro game, this is going to be the build. Like, there will be God Strength and more Warcry and whatnot. This is not something you really want to do all the time in your pubs, because this build is shit if you don't have stacks. Like, it just doesn't do anything.
Yeah, you need to... Well, Night Stalker, he's going to be bolted up and stunned by the Magic Missile, but he'll be able to walk it off as it is nighttime. He's got that extra move speed from the Hunter in the night. And they'll drop a high ground ward as well. They felt like there was vision there because of his positioning, so they'll drop a bolt to try and find it, but that's most of Zeus's mana at this point, so he's not really fight ready any longer. He'll even miss a last hit with the Arc Lightning, and we'll need to at least crow this or get the 8-minute rune in order to sustain himself in lane. But yeah, there needs to be some preparation from your supports in order for you to max out the cleave and go for that farming oriented build. And often we'll see the build reflect that as well with something like a Mask of Madness or an H-Dom early. So we'll see if the Sven goes that route and looks to carry it late game. They will get the Hex up on the Fort Luna, and with the Ion Shell, it's an easy kill. Vacuum back even to secure. He does not get the Burrow Strike off. Nicely played by Teapot. God Strength is going to be utilized here, and a couple of right clicks should secure the death of the Darkseer, so they will get a return kill, and it's actually pretty worth it for the Radiant side. All in all, they get a jungling SK death for the Darkseer kill, and you'll see the metrics slightly favor the Radiant there. 480 experience, so about 150 net experience and 200 gold going the way of the Radiant. Now the Lion in trouble. One more right click from Pabix, but that early Vengeful Spirit range. Oh, he looks to turn to the right. The Lion, instead of just running straight, basically securing his own death in that one. He had 375 move speed. The Venge only 345. And yeah, he tries to juke off towards the right. Blink down. Mana Void is not going to kill off the Vengeful Spirit. She just doesn't have the mana pool big enough. But with the Ion Shell and the Phase Boots, Public Service should be able to bring down the Sven. And he turns around, accepts his fate, ensures that his teammate does not die as well for the cause. So Anti-Mage gonna have a nice little rotation there, picks up a kill, sitting on level 8, 2-0-2 on the AM, and things looking good for him early game. 41 CS, Medusa 53 CS, and top 3 net worth attendance on the list are all Dire Side cores.
Mid, Zeus is gonna get into a fight with the Lion. This time Zeus had a very full mana pool and just shred the Lion. Easy peasy there, drops the Thunder God's Wrath just for good measure before Public Service can really interrupt him. So it is going to be a free kill here for the Zeus, a much needed kill at that, and with his Arcane Boots actually does have a chance now over in this mid lane. In fact, bolting down the Anti-Mage is very low. Anti-Mage is kind of playing things well now fast and loose, but this is not the time to do it. Yeah, we could see like that Lion play. It's such a small click of the mouse that is going to kill him because he has the same exact movement speed as the Vengeful Spirit. If they're just running in the straight line, then the Vengeful Spirit's never going to get that kill. But clicking a little bit off to the right, you know, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, so you die. And Lion could have very easily avoided that death if he just clicked once to his fountain. Like, he lives there.
Give it to Mike to get Pythagorean theorem inside a Dota cast somehow, but
Bro, it's all about learning.
because knowledge is power. 6-4, 10.5 minutes in. Things still looking very good for the Dire side despite last couple of deaths from the Lion. And Carl going to be able to pick up a rune bot lane, return himself back to mid where Moraxis is accompanying public service at this point. It is daytime, so Night Stalker just trying to soak up his level 5, and he will be able to do so here. Pretty standard skill build from him so far. 302, no value point in the silence just yet. Man, could be nice up against the Sand King and the Magnus, who are going to try and burrow and skewer away, but either way, a lot of fight potential for him here early on. Magnus, he's farming decently. He's picked up his level 8. He's got the RP. No arcane boots. Does have a bottle for himself and 500 gold, so not doing all that poorly, all things considered, especially his laning situation. But now the Lion going to wrap around, and the Dire do have a ward to spot him, so they can easily kill him here with a Hex and an Impale if they don't overlap it too much. Mystic Snake going to come through, a couple more right clicks, and yeah, he's dead. Nicely played by the Lion not to overlay his spells all that much. Meanwhile, mid lane, Magic Missile. That hit a creep or was it dodged? Blink away from public service either way.
Oh, look at this. Public service. Living up to his name, buying an Urn of Shadows.
Okay.
This is pretty interesting. I feel like this would be
Radiant's
a lot
top tower
more
is under
effective
attack.
if instead of the skill build that we see right now, it was just maxed out mana break, because then he could just try to go in at the same time as a Night Stalker, who by the way also has an Urn of Shadows. So, you know, let's assume that there was just Urn of Shadows in the Anti-Mage. This could be a at least justifiable build if he had maxed out his offensive power with mana break, because getting the blink cooldown lowered is nice, but it's not going to be nearly as effective as just straight up killing them, and they will straight up kill them over in the North River. Vengeful Spirit's going to get popped. Moraxis is going to start a fight now with the Zeus. Thunder God Wrath will not do it. Now here comes the Anti-Mage with the Urn.
Got
There's
Mana
that
Void
blink,
available as
did
well.
literally nothing, and he's going to go in now. Or is he?
He had more range on that blink though. And
Oh yeah, he did. He had a lot more range.
that was a little bit odd, and he'll get juked. Carl had no mana left, and 822 mana points right now is a nice setup for a pretty big mana void, but was sitting at about 75 percent HP, so would have needed a couple more right clicks in order to bring him down. Fort Luna now going to rotate over to the mid lane, feeling like Zeus is not all that safe, and now he's going to rotate out, find the Anti-Mage, immediate blink out from public service. We just find Carl bottling up in the mid lane. We'll get a bolt off onto public service, swap back, nice blink away, not in range for the Magic Missile. And top lane, they're going to go in for the Magnus to get the Hex off. Impale is there as well, mana draining him. Mystic Snake still has enough for a skewer. Magnus will be able to make it out. Still sitting on about 600 gold on that Magnus. Trying to slowly find his farm. He's yet to rotate for an RP, and has had it for a while. Currently sitting almost at level 9. So he's going to have a rotation in now from his Vengeful Spirit. And doesn't feel like these two really have the kill potential on the Medusa. Perhaps they get the Lion, but wrap around now for Moraxis. It is nighttime. They do have
Radiant's
vision.
middle
This Dire
tower is
Ward
under attack.
facilitating a lot of these ganks early on, and at some point feels like the Radiant need to be wary of this as they keep getting dove underneath their tower.
It's gonna happen again. It's definitely not gonna happen again.
Okay.
Where is the Night Stalker going?
Yeah, that was felt like a very killable duo.
And now they get a double damager on the Anti-Mage? Guys, there's two heroes up towards top. I guess they're scared of the RP, which is, I suppose, fair enough. You don't have Finger of Death
Radiant's
just yet.
bottom tower
But,
is under attack.
man, you're a Night Stalker. It's nighttime. Let's go ahead and stalk some people. That's kind of your job. On the lines of the Magnus, I
Radiant's
can
middle
understand
tower
why
is
he's
under
just
attack.
sitting up here all the time. Like, usually, if you can teleport out and help, then you should. And he doesn't have a TP scroll, so that's kind of hard to do. But it'll be a little bit of a better plan if, in general, you stay up towards top lane, then you wait for your allies to come to you. In the sense that, hey, I have a Sand King on my team. He should get his Blink Dagger. Definitely should have it by now. And he should be helping me gank this Medusa. Because Medusa, very soon, is going to have... Well, right now, actually, is going to have an Ultimate Orb. I assume she's going to go for Linken's. And then at that point, killing her off is just so much more
Dire's bottom
difficult than it
tower
really
is
should
under
be.
attack.
And by the way, I don't really think Lincoln's the build in this game for Medusa.
Yeah, no. Just looking at the heroes momentarily there, and doesn't
Dire's
really feel
middle
like that's
tower
the
is
case.
under attack.
Probably just go for any kind of sort of stat-oriented item. They get the Darkseer bottom as they were rotating in with the Anti-Mage and the Night Stalker. Looks like maybe they surged in for the initiation and got caught out. But either way, Wave of Terror comes out. There's no mana for the Stormbolt. Oh, there's an Impale and the Finger of Death. They just need a little bit more damage for the Sven. The RP is onto 2, though, with the turn. The Burrow Strike comes through as well. Now Public Service in trouble. 3 for 1 thus far. Nicely played. The first rotation from the Magnus finally bears fruit.
Radiant's top tower
Meanwhile,
is under
Seth is
attack.
going to be pushing up that top lane with the
Dire's
Medusa and
bottom
should be able to
tower
secure
is
this
under
tower.
attack.
TP's
Dire's structures
not
are
really a
fortified.
plenty for the Radiant side. Only the one on Carl. They do have a glyph for this, but yeah, Seth actually going to back off and keep it what he thought was outside of deny range, but it is in deny range, so a little bit odd to see him back off there. And maybe we see this denied here after, but either way, Magnus pretty much securing that. Lion at least nicely played to get the Sven before the end of that
Radiant's middle
engagement,
tower
but
is
they
under
all
attack.
set themselves up for a pretty big RP, and now Public Services build, it's going to feel a little less potent
Radiant's
now that
top
he's
tower
died and
has
set back,
fallen.
or at least had to be forced back and set back his timing. So we'll see if he can keep up. I mean, the Sven has the H-Stom and has a triple stack of Ancients ready for himself when he pleases. So it looks like he's going to make his way over there at this point. And you mentioned the importance of stacking these creeps up if you're going to go for this max cleave build. So at least for now, he'll have a little bit of an economic influx.
Dire's middle tower is under
This Anti-Mage's build, at least the Urn and Drums build, is at this point, it's no longer the build you want to have. Burrow Strike and Spike going to be overlapped a little bit. Official is going to take tower aggro, and it will be drawn off. Walls dropped onto the Sand King, but it's Pab who's in the most trouble. Use your Blink, or Mana Void. Got him, I guess. No Urn charges. I don't know, a couple Urn charges gained there. No Night Stalker in the area. He's going to go in deep. Look at this Anti-Mage going into the tower, and like it's not even there. He's going to go for the Sand King. Man, I bet he wishes he had Mana Void now. He's going to try to raise for it. Grabs the kill, blinks out, teleports away. Caustic? Yeah, it's not going to do it. Okay, well, there you go. Anti-Mage finally manning up. I like it.
Yeah, he heard your
Radiant's
calls.
bottom tower is
Apparently
under
towards
attack.
that mid lane. Meanwhile, it was, I stand corrected, it was only a double stack of Ancients. Sven went for the third stack. I was watching him go
Radiant's
do it, but it
bottom
looks like he
tower
failed
has
on that
fallen.
endeavor. But either way, he picks up a double stack of Ancients with his God Strength. Going to skyrocket him up the net worth a little bit. And he's above the Animage, despite the Animage getting that double kill. So in pretty good standing right now still. The Medusa completely AFK free farming for the first 17 minutes of the game. And she's sitting on 113 CS at this point. Meanwhile, mid lane, they are going to get the Crippling Fear off onto Carl. The Impale is there as well with the Void. Dead Zeus. And Moraxis alongside Official will pick that up relatively easily. So that's going to be a nice grab for that tandem. Magnus will secure the rune top lane. He's got an RP available once again. Meanwhile, top lane Stone Gaze comes out
Radiant's middle
onto
tower
Kianda.
is
He will
under
get voided
attack.
up, but he's not going to get completely frozen by the Stone Gaze. He'll turn with the Cleave and the God Strength and almost bring down Moraxis. One more right click. Oh, the Urn tick.
Radiant's
25
middle
HP.
tower is
Night
under
Stalker
attack.
surviving. Public Service going to rotate in. Sven left for dead. And Seth will pick up the kill on the Medusa. No support inbound from the rest of the Radiant side. Pab rotates out to the
bottom
east.
tower
Moraxis
is
is
under
going to be able
attack.
to survive that one and makes it back towards base. The Sven, though, does go down. And Anti-Mage now will eclipse him on the net worth chart. He did pick up a set of drums on this AM. So probably one of the more interesting AM builds we've ever seen. Burrow Strike, Epicenter, being channeled up onto Public Service. Will tick through him with 3 or
Radiant's
4
bottom
pulses,
tower
but
is under attack.
with the spell shield available and the blink out, and he's gonna be just fine. He'll get grieved up by his Darkseer for good measure as well, and everything will stagnate for the moment. So that is a Sand King ultimate off the board, despite him picking up his blink not that long ago. So now that they are aware of that, perhaps we'll see them get a little bit aggressive. They have the wall. They do not have a nighttime though, and Darkness still down for 70 seconds. So Medusa continuing to free farm top lane, and the Dire seem to be fairly happy with this. The Anti-Mage playing a little bit more of the early fight role. Will not scale nearly as well as he tends to at this point in the game, but eventually we'll be able to transition regardless.
I'm just like looking at this game and seeing so many points in this game where someone is clearly ripping off something that they've seen a pro do, and it's not in the correct environment. Like, again, looking at this Anti-Mage, I like the adaptation of I'm going mid, I'm going to go for Urn and drums and whatnot. And then he goes for this build, which is a perfectly reasonable build if you're in the safe lane farming, if you didn't have Medusa doing that instead. If you have this build, man, you want to say, like, I'm just going to go max out my mana break, because you have to kill people ASAP with this type of things, just so you can bounce in and out with that Urn of Shadows. Duck in, duck out. You don't really have to worry about your survivability all that much as far as leveling stats is concerned. So,
especially when you have drum charges and phase boots behind you.
Yeah, like you have, I don't even know how much movement speed, 400 something easily. They're going to run straight into the Vengeful Spirit. We can see Vengeful Spirit would be dead by now, and they wouldn't have to use the Mana Void if he had maxed out Mana Break. But he's going for a farming build, and he's going to jump forward for a little bit more. At this point, Spell Shield is king, and while Sand King is no longer king. Carl's also in a lot of trouble. Poor Carl, he's down as well. Yeah, working out pretty well, considering the Radiants are all kind of there without any damage.
Yeah, so the usually, like, we would call it the burning build, is the 1/1/1 plus stats, and Anti-Mage definitely needs stats if you want to survive and continue to delay the game out until you accrue enough farm to become a presence. But when you build stats with your Urn and your drum, it makes little to no sense to be skilling into stats. So that's kind of what you're touching upon there. But either way, the Anti-Mage is still doing a lot of work for public service here. He's sitting on 6-0-5 on this AM. 21 minutes in the game. Very rarely do you see a KDA like that on an Anti-Mage. Blink Dagger, though, has been secured by the Magnus finally, 20 minutes in from the off lane. And not a terrible time coming out of the off lane, but it's going to be revealed here underneath the unit wave top, and you're not really going to get much mid lane. Magic Missile, public service going to be able to blink out as he gets hit on by the Veil. But they are aware now of this Magnus RP with the blink, and they're going to be scouted out. Double Burrow Strike. There's an RP to cover it on top. There's a War Stomp from the center as well if they need it, but they will bring down one target. That's the Darkseer first. They'll get, or the Lion first, I should say. They'll get the Night Stalker as well. Thunder God's Wrath going to be popped out. For what reason? Exactly, not sure. But either way.
Yo, you're Zeus. You got to try to get those kills, man. That's Zeus's job, isn't it? Like, just get the last hits. I'm pretty sure that's Zeus's job. Speaking of jank-ass builds, what the hell's up with Sand King? He's got 3-3-1-1. Like, okay, Burrow Strike is finally maxed out, thank God. And we have up towards top lane Sven trying to go for Medusa, but there's an Anti-Mage here. Unfortunately, Anti-Mage doesn't actually do that much, so I'm pretty sure Sven could just walk out of here.
Meanwhile, Teapot went on by the Sand King and will be brought down. Sven has his God Strength popped up, as you mentioned, but he's going to back out atop. We do get the Hex off onto Fort Luna. The Crippling Fear is there as well. He's got no mana regardless to be able to get himself out of any danger. And he will be the return kill for the Darkseer. Hopefully even trade there. But the Sven now in trouble top lane. The Mana Void is going to be there and not do a whole lot of anything. Sven having pretty low mana. The Stone Gaze as well. Not synergizing very well with that. He's going to pop the Warcry and look to run around. The drums are going to be there though. And they have the vision for the right cliff from Seth. They'll bring down the Sven in the top lane
tower is under attack.
and continue to press forward. This mid lane tower should be theirs without contest. 23 minutes in, and public service outlasted by officials Lion here. 2200 gold on the line. He'll have a Blink Dagger relatively soon, so does want these last hits, and there it is. Will be picked up. That's going to be a really nice initiation tool for them as well. Continue forward. They will have the Battle Fury eventually on this Anti-Mage. Sub 30 minutes roughly, but just for now has the Perseverance and enough for a Broadsword. Still needs the Claymore on top of that, and they'll get a little bit of deep warding down. They'll see Carl by virtue of it, and they'll look to bring him down with the Ion Shells. Vacuum Back is available from the Darkseer if he needs it. Doesn't expend it though. Void will finish him off. The Burrow Strike comes through the Anti-Mage. Immediately though, dodged out is the Impale by the Sand King with the Sandstorm. Sven now back up from the grave. Still, though, not really in fighting shape after that last death top lane Medusa. Almost 4,000 net worth ahead of the Sven. Anti-Mage about 1,000 ahead, so game feeling pretty good now for the Dire side. Medusa not necessarily fight ready just with the Lincoln Sphere, but feeling pretty omnipresent across the map. Has an ultimate orb and has those boots of travel as well. They're going to find Fort Luna. Crippling Fear. Finger of Death. Easy kill. Just going to secure that without any rotations inbound. They did have their Cliff Ward de-warded, so weren't sure what lurked behind that Sand King, and going to secure the kill fairly quickly.
Oh, Anti-Mage, why are you doing this to me, man? Lincoln Sphere, really?
Okay.
It's not even
so
that
they
good
will
in
have
this
a
game.
Battle Fury. I lied, I suppose.
Oh,
You know, Lincoln
jeez.
Sphere for that extra farming ability.
Can you disassemble Lincoln Sphere? You can't,
You
right?
cannot. And
Damn it.
he still doesn't have max mana break.
Because it has a recipe, of course you can't. But if you can build up to that Manta style and get your Battle Fury, it's like nothing goes wrong.
Easy.
But now he's with this kind of weird defensive item which
Radiant's
doesn't
bottom
actually
tower
do
is
that
under
much.
attack.
And he still doesn't
He is
actually do that
6-0
much
and
damage.
7 though, so everything he's doing is obviously correct, right? 6-0 and 7.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Sure, I'm pretty sure that's what they call a logical fallacy. But
Blink,
I mean, I could understand in theory the fact that I'm not gonna build. Oh, he's gonna
Radiant's
jump out,
bottom
spikes, and land onto 3 heroes, vacuum with the wall. And here comes the Sven, but he's running right into a Medusa, natural counter. Nice RP, but their turn to stone. The range keep doing some work. That's the Magnus down. That's the Sven in a lot of trouble. Nice epicenter, did pretty much no damage because it only hit the anti-mage. And now the Sven, he's out of mana. He's going to turn around and try to race for the anti-mage. Not going to happen. Fort Luna also should not escape. It's a full team wipe. As Medusa finally showing off that shiny new ultimate, probably only the second time she used it.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, man. Like, you're trying to go in there as a Sven. The Stone Gaze is an absolute
Radiant's
nightmare
top
when you're
tower
Sven.
is
You
under
can't
attack.
do anything about it.
The reaction was,
Structures are
I want to say, not really quick enough when the anti-mage jumps in, and the Lion was there just a moment later to get that 3-man impale off into the choke point. Blink Dagger just picked up on the Seer as well. He's able to blink forward back in the wall. And yeah, the Stone Gaze really securing it. I mean, they got the RP off onto 4. The Sven was nearby. If that Stone Gaze wasn't popped off, he was killing at least 1 or 2 heroes off. But either way, take a really decisive engagement top lane. Now there's no RP, there's no God Strength, but there will be when Sven is up from the grave. But either way, it'll be at very least, a tier 2 without contest. And jump forward for Carl. Now he's a bit out of position. He's going to be vacuumed back along with Pop. They're going to bring him down. Burrow Strike forward does hit onto Teapot. Sandstrike. They will finish him off with the magic missile. Swap back for Pobex is going to put his Magnus in trouble. Finger of Death will finish off the Magnus, and now Fort Luna in trouble as well. Will be able to burrow up to the high ground. Will not tick down. Maybe to the Orb of Venom, but no. 4 HP. He'll survive. Jump forward from the Sven. Gets a Storm Ball off onto 3 to cleave. Will kill off the Lion. Morax is going to be able to earn himself up. Voids the Sven from the high ground, and that'll be the end of it. Sven once again utilize God Strength here. Not going to look to re-engage though. Is that dire side? Looks like they're content with what they've taken in the last couple of minutes. Little 2 for 2 there in that micro engagement, but either way, still firm grasp on the game for Public Service and his squad, despite him building a Lincoln Sphere. But he did put that 3rd point into Mana Break.
Oh, bro, look at this shit. Lincoln Sphere, Vit Booster, Staff of Wizardry.
What is this, Atos?
I would imagine so. First of all, that feel when there's 6 urn charges and no one uses them in the fight to get that easy kill on the Sand King,
Right,
so
right.
kind of feel bad there. But Atos, Lincoln Sphere, I was mentioning earlier, like, I understand the thinking of my Medusa is getting all the farms she could ever want in any game ever, so I'm not going to build damage. I'm just going to try to help her out. In that regard, I could see the argument for Atos, not the Lincoln Sphere, because I guess you could put it on her.
the
That
Medusa,
doesn't really
right.
help all that much. If I was going to go for this kind of a side support assisty type of route, I would be looking at items along the lines of Solar Crest at this stage, get a Vlad's, get a Basher, like these items that can
Vlad's
1 for
definitely
1
would've been
yourself
good.
out of fight, but also essentially take like perhaps the Sven out, perhaps the Zeus out of the
Radiant's
fight, or at
middle
least make
tower
them
is
struggle in
under
those
attack.
fights. And that, of course, gives the Medusa more space, but this is kind of a roundabout, less than ideal way of going about that. And a Rod of Atos this late is just like a terrible item. It doesn't actually do that much when everyone and their mom has Blink Daggers and swaps and Warcry and whatnot, but hey, what's soon to be done is, I guess, going to be done. The only chance that the Radiant have of winning a team fight here is if they are able to jump onto the Medusa without having her go Stone Gaze out, and they're gonna do just that. But the Sven's God Strike doesn't pop. Now it is. Stone Gaze does come out, and they're gonna have to tuck tail and run. Vacuum Wall is there, but so is the Epicenter. The Spike is going to come through from the line now. Steph's gonna turn around and try to right click. That's not gonna happen. Shockwave's gonna kill her, and that's gonna be 3 heroes down for the dire side as the Sven does survive all of that. Officials spotted by the wave, should be taken out by the Magnus as the Night Stalker's trying to drive all the supports back into the Radiant base. It's the Magnus to be left alone. There's a Void and Crippling Fear. That should be enough with the Urn Charge, which he actually doesn't have, so they're just going to beat him down the old-fashioned way. Swap's going to cancel the TP. What are you doing, Bench? Getting kills, apparently. They'll get the Night Stalker, and Official should be dying here as well. Wave is going to cancel the Blink Dagger. There is no hammer. I think he's fine, actually. Nope, no, there's the Blink Dagger on Zeus. They'll bolt him down as well. And Medusa is a hero that needs cover, and they failed to do that.
Yeah, you talked about the ineffectiveness of the Atos that's soon to come out, perhaps, for the Anti-Mage, and there are 4 Blink Daggers on the Radiant side, and the only hero who does not have a Blink Dagger has a swap and a stun. So, yeah, we could see that being certainly a little bit innocuous going forward in this one, but 2 Blink Daggers as well on the opposite side, and the Anti-Mage natural blinks, 7 blinks all in all in this one, and yeah. Zeus having his Aether Lens there as well, helping out, but the Urn Charge really what secured the kill on the Lion there. It was nicely played on the edge, and I felt like, yeah, the swap may have killed off the Magnus as well. The TP looked like it was going to succeed, but either way, they take a really good engagement, and it almost feels like a game again at this point with that last one. 19 seconds until the RP is up. God Strength will be up again as well, and the BKB about 1,100 gold away for the Sven.
Again, Stone Gaze is going to be the most important thing to protect if you're on the Dire side, and make sure that you try to get the Medusa dead without giving her a chance to actually use that. It was a little bit too late if she got it off beforehand, if she got it off before the stuns really started to come out, then for sure she would be alive. Everyone else on her team would probably be alive as well, and they'd be probably knocking on the front door or going for Roche right now, really either one. But that being said, they still are working with a Medusa who is absolutely farmed out of her mind, has the maxed out split shot, so she's ready to just go around everywhere with those travels and farm up anything she could possibly want. Getting something like a Butterfly here just to nullify the Sven seems like that's the play. Again, there's really not that much in the way of threats outside of this Sven, if you're Medusa at least.
Yeah, I mean, she's got more than enough effective HP mid lane. They're going to get a Burrow. Not by the Lincolns, by public service, and be alright by now. For now, Carl. Stop casting up the Thunder God's Wrath, looking to cancel Blinks potentially, but they know they don't have quite the burst potential to kill off this Anti-Mage. Without at least the Sven rotating in, and they did use the Thunder God's Wrath there. So blink forward, Atos is going to be there onto Carl's Sven, and now TP in from Seth. Mana Void is in there on the west side from Carl. They'll swap him back with the Vengeful Spirit. Jump forward. They get the Burrow Strike off a couple right clicks. Public service. He'll be the first to fall. Stone Gaze will now be popped, but the RP is a little bit too late. Coming out from the Magnus, it's just going to sound the retreat. Necessarily, they'll lose one in the meantime. That is going to be the Magnus who jump forward. Fort Luna re-engages with the epicenter. They're now going to Stormbolt up to Medusa, and Kiandia is going to try and man up versus Seth. Not sure if that's the play, but now he will have support coming in from Meraxes. The Crippling Fear is there. The Darkseer is behind Medusa as well, and Sven will accept his fate as he goes down. The RP needs to come out before the Stone Gaze, as you mentioned. They're even going to get the Void off onto Pab up on the high ground, and if Medusa's able to get this Stone Gaze off, and Sven cannot right-click on top of the RP, feels like they're going to lose every single engagement from the Radiant side. So all they get is public service. They lose 4 heroes, and Carl was not able to continue fighting after being swapped out. He had no mana left, 20% HP, just had to turn tail and run. So really good engagement for the Dire.
We are seeing one of the downsides of this Medusa build. She is very stat heavy, but once you turn on that split shot, and once Sven turns on his Warcry, you're not actually doing that much damage to him. Sven would have eventually killed off the Medusa there if he actually had any sort of backup, simply because he has damage output and the Medusa doesn't have single target damage yet. She really does need something that gives her a lot, whether it's Butterfly or some sort of Demon Edge item, or a Basher even. I wouldn't actually mind that into an Abyssal Blade for the Medusa, but maybe not yet. They're gonna go ahead and grab this Aegis, and that should be a pretty clean pickup.
Aegis?
What?
The hell is an Aegis?
That's how you pronounce Roshan's dropped item, you plebe. Dude, some people got really angry at me earlier because I was calling Enigma's summons Eidolons.
Yeah, Eidolons, yeah.
Yeah,
I noticed
that's wrong. So you can suck it. They're like fucking tier 4.
As long as you don't say Aegis.
Eidolon, I'm like, fuck you guys, I'm right.
As long as you don't say Aegis, that's like literally the only
I'm making
bone
a
I have to
big
pick.
push for myself to pronounce these items technically correct. Either Lens, Aegis, Eidolon.
I like Aether as well, but... hey.
I like the sound of it better, but it's wrong, so...
Yeah, well,
Please.
I'm gonna pretend you didn't tell me that. Just continue to live in
Okay.
ignorance. But smoke out from the 5-man Radiant lineup. And a little bit of scouting with the Thunderbolt from the Zeus, but it looks like they're just expecting the impending high ground push. And looking to catch them off guard with their 4 Blink Daggers and Venge swap. Venge also has a positioning tool of his own in the Force Staff recently picked up.
Double Vlads. No, wait, this isn't a Vlads. Never mind. I'm stupid. Night Stalker's going pipe. Actually, not that bad.
Decent item here. Sven, the only one really doing much physical. Maybe the bit with the Wave of Terror there and the Vengeful Spear gonna, I don't know, perhaps Magnus Empower right clicks after the RP, but yeah, mostly magic damage, so. Odd item pickup on the hero, but certainly makes sense in this scenario. And 31 to 18, 35, 30, I mean, big net worth lead. Pretty much solely from the Medusa's farm at this point. 15k net worth lead. For the dire side. Jump forward. Burrow Strike is going to connect onto 2-1. We'll have a Lincoln Sphere to pop it. And they don't go in for the swap. And now they're just going to jump forward onto Pop, who's way out of position. Blink forward from Carl. Looks to bring down the Lion. Will do so immediately. Is able to Yules up the Anti-Mage as well. The Burrow Strike going to come through now. They're going to pop the Lincolns. The wall, Vacuum Wall is there, though, from the dire side. And that'll allow them to back away. Greaves is going to be popped up as well. There's the Medusa in all of this. She's split pushing top lane. And they still have not used the RP, so successful base defense thus far. And Medusa hasn't gotten anything of significance done in the top lane. She had the Boots of Travel, can kill off that creep, but actually TP was just cancelled by the Z. So she chose not to TP in just yet to the bot lane, and was a little bit too late.
Probably the right decision. Lion decided to initiate without a spike, so he blinked Hex, then just stood there, and that's not really a good play, especially when you know that pretty much everyone on the Radiant side has some way of quickly getting in, whether it's, you know, by swaps, Force Staves, Blink Daggers, like actually all of them have Blink Daggers or Force Staves or something, so you don't want to do that as Lion. You actually don't want to be the first one in unless you're all the way in the middle of the lane, not right outside of the Radiant base. And on the note of net worth lead, like even though the Dire do have a lead, like it's mostly junk items on the Anti-Mage, so it might be a little bit deceiving.
Yeah, definitely so. Has an Aegis as well on the AM, which is a bit of an odd choice with the Dusa having a slot, I believe, at the time. Ended up picking 2 components of the Butterfly up and can't fully complete it relatively soon, especially if she opts to sell the Midas, but yeah, it feels like Aegis probably a lot better in her hands, but either way. Thunder God's Wrath, they're going to pick off the Lion once again. Carl will be able to do so, and yeah, Official played decently throughout the mid game, but has been out of position a couple of times here near the late, and it looks like they're still willing to maybe go forward with the Thunder God's Wrath down. Surge forward onto Public Service, looking to find out Carl. He had a little bit of a low mana pool, so was somewhat susceptible to this Anti-Mage, but there were 3 blinks and a Venge swap behind him, so it would have been a very ballsy play for the Dire to make. And they feel with this Aegis that they're still capable, perhaps, of going high ground. They're at least going to shove the wave in for now, but Carl and his comrades should do a good job with the Veil of cleaning up the wave. They jump forward. They're going to find Public Service. This is just an Aegis at this point, but they will pop him out. The Stone Gaze is not going to do a whole lot of much for Seth. They are going to vacuum back 2, though, into the wall, and now Medusa will start chunking away. She'll bring down 2. Magnus will buy back immediately. He still has RP available for this fight. Kiandia still trying to fight, and there's the RP. It's going to catch 4 with the God Strength. They're going to be able to bring down 3 immediately. Seth, the last one standing, does not have the Aegis, as they gave it to the Anti-Mage, who had it dropped early. And let the 3-2-2 begin. Carl going top lane, trying to find the Lion. Will be unable to do so. Doesn't quite have the mana pool to continue to chase. But yeah, no structural damage inflicted from the Dire side, and they lose a hell of a lot in that fight. They do buy back the Magnus, of course, but he ends up losing that 800 gold. They gain 1,600 on the spend. And overall, about a 6k net worth swing net, and about 4,000 in gold going the way of the Dire. And they may even pick up this tier 1 mid as well. It'll be another 1,000 gold for them.
Alright, so despite the Anti-Mage's build, I am impressed by the fact that he was able to block 2 very quickly casted spells on the Medusa with that Lincoln Sphere. Like, that's That's pretty much like one of the biggest objectives for the Anti-Mage, I think, just protect the Medusa, protect the Medusa all day long, and well, he did it. So yeah, hats off for that, but unfortunately after that he doesn't do anything, actually, like nothing. So it's all in this Medusa right now, and I kind of want to see some sort of other hero grab a Force Staff at this point, I think. Just to keep out of distance, most importantly, get the Medusa out of that clump once the RP drops.
I mean, we've seen in competitive, probably one of the most picked up items versus Sven is that Force Staff, and being able to kite him around during the duration of God Strength can be extremely invaluable. And Medusa dying is, I mean, subpar to say the least. It's pretty much, as you mentioned, the entirety of their damage potential. The wall can do work with the Stone Gaze on top of it. But other than that, as mentioned, the Anti-Mage build, Crippling Fury, though, they're going to find Fort Luna. That's going to be a very crucial pickoff for the base defense. Blink, Epicenter, Burrow Strike, all eliminated from the base. Now to swap back now as well from the Venge, and that's going to put her out of position, if anyone. Now the Venge in trouble, can Force Staff to the low ground, and we'll be able to make it away. Jump forward from Teapot. Does not have a vacuum for another 9 seconds. He'll get bolted up. Crippling Fury is there onto Carl, though. Soundly retreat, and now they can assemble near the unit wave as 5, although there are Radiant creeps cutting the wave. So they do have some creeps of their own, though. We'll be able to make it up to the high ground if these are not bursted down by the Radiant. Jump forward from Carl. He'll pop the Lincoln Sphere, get a bolt off onto Seth. Bale will be there as well. They need to join these creeps up on the high ground if they want to assemble for any sort of push at this point. Not nighttime for them. They don't have the vision provided to them by the Aghanims for the Night Stalker, though. Now the Sand King respawning in 3 or 4 seconds, and they will look to extricate themselves from any risk and TP out the Medusa, continue to shove out these lanes in the top.
Swap still very, very dangerous if you get your Medusa swapped in. Odds of her getting the Stone Gaze off are very, very low, assuming there's a Sand King or a Sven or someone waiting on the other end. So it is probably the right call for them to retreat. They should right now be waiting for this next Aegis. They have more than enough damage, and of course the Vlads to kill it off, and well, we don't know exactly when it's going to be respawning, but it should be pretty much a cakewalk once that happens. This Sven, I'm like constantly getting my heart broken because I'm thinking people are going to make great item choices. He's going to go for crit, which is always fun, but you're up against a Butterfly, and you're up against Crippling Fear. You 100% need a Demon Edge item to turn into an MKB, not a Daedalus.
And they just smoke underneath the wave mid lane, like directly underneath the wave, so not sure if the Dire end up spotting this out, but 5-man smoke attempt coming out from the Radiant, looking towards the Roche pit, and Roche is not going to be up for another 40 seconds or so, but there is a double damage rune in the river, so they could at the very least bait out. Hobek's going to get himself smoke pop mid lane, and they are pretty much just going to back out at this point. So. Fort Luna rotating in as well. Darkness was popped. They are limited in vision, and they will back out. Double damage is up on the Sven, though, if they look to counter initiate. But jump forward. They are going to find the Crippling Fear. The RP is available behind these two heroes. They get to swap out onto the Zeus. Medusa pressing forward. Burrow Strike up to the high ground is going to be stopped by the Lincoln Sphere, and now the Magnus having his blink canceled. There's a Thunder God's Wrath there. Now they're pushing through with the Sven. 2 right clicks will cleave down the Night Stalker. Public Service still surviving. Inlandia will take a Hex and a Finger to the face. The Impale is there as well. He's Force-Staffed out by the Sand King, who reinitiates with the Epicenter and the Burrow Strike. RP is there as well. They need some right clicks from the Sven, and he does have his BKB pop. Little physical damage, though, will bring him down from the Medusa. She'll finally get the Stone Gaze off. The Lion will re-engage with her. He'll be caught out by the Zeus, but he will get his Impale off before going down. Magic Missile will finish him off. Now Medusa trying to fight into them. Fort Luna will continue to join the fray. He will Sandstorm up. The Bolt will be there as well. Medusa trying to fight near her allied wall. Slowly getting picked away by this triumvirate of Radiant heroes. Swap back, and there's the Bolt. They'll finish him off. 5 for 2 ends up being the score at the end of that engagement, and this game continues to draw out. Medusa farmed as all hell, but they're continuing to close the gap, and the Anti-Mage is just irrelevant despite having 15,000 net worth.
And this is mobility items winning the game right now for the Radiant side. These double Force Staffs like quad blink daggers, something like that. If the Dire aren't on you and bursting you down, then you're probably going to get some
Dire's
sort of help.
middle
You're probably
tower
going to
is under
escape. There's a
attack.
swap to mix in there as well. And the burst isn't exactly super high from the Dire side. Like the Anti-Mage and Medusa right now, their damage should be enough so that once a Hex comes in onto any given target, 2 cores just jump on them, they should get that kill. But of course, Anti-Mage hasn't gone for your traditional Anti-Mage build, is now finally going to get something a little bit more traditional in that Yasha. Medusa's damage is high, but for the most part has to at least be careful about when to turn on Split Shot and when to have single target damage, just to make sure that that Hex target should be dropped. No one else really has that burst. So everyone else on the Radiant, they're just playing the fallback game. They're playing the, wait for the enemies to mess up type of game. And when you have a Blink Dagger on Sven with a Magnus, with Empower, you just have to get an RP or a Stormhammer onto like 2 heroes. And then those 2 heroes, assuming one of them is not Medusa, are just instantly going to die. So for the Dire side, they're just kind of being baited constantly by this mobility of the Radiant team because they really lack the damage and or sufficient lockdown to get kills instantaneously and then take a 4-on-5 fight.
Yeah, Sven is only going to get manlier, and as you mentioned, if they get any heroes excluding the Medusa or get the Medusa without the Stone Gaze getting popped, people are going to die, and they're going to die quickly. And you mentioned their ineptness towards bringing down heroes during the war cry, and you saw Sven there sitting at maybe 10 to 10% HP for 7 or 8 seconds underneath his 8-second BK or his 9-second BKB and just not dying off, continuing to do work. Right clicking. Thunder God's Wrath is going to scout out the Rosh. It's not going to be quick enough, I believe, for them to make any sort of contest. They will shove in the top lane for now, and they do have all 3 of their racks standing, so just going to continue to try and deal with the lane equilibrium across the map and delay out the timing for the high ground push at the very least for this Dire side. I'm not sure if they're even going to be willing to go high ground just yet. The waveform forward with the blink from the Lion will get the Hex off onto the Venge. Public Service now in the face of the Sven. He will be able to Force Staff and Lincoln Sphere off. The Stormbolt should be able to blink to the high ground, but Official will not be so lucky. Carl in a little bit of trouble. Public Service looks to re-engage. He'll get the Aegis pop once again immediately. And Landia, though, he's used his BKB already. He's been silenced up. The Epicenter will be there. Sven in a lot of trouble, and he will be swapped back, but probably still brought down here. Gets the Warcry off. Urn Charge is there. Mana Void will finish him off. And taking that engagement in the Rosh Pit proves to be a huge mistake, especially with the Magnus not nearly close enough. For the Radiant side, they've got 3 heroes on the deck. Only one of those has buyback, which is the Sven. Meanwhile, Carl, he's going to be caught, in the mid lane. Crippling Fear is there. Should be able to make it out, though, with the Boots of Travel. Gets up to the high ground. Will pop off the Thunder God's Wrath. Perhaps just to stop any further blinks forward towards him. And now Public Service just playing the frontliner as Seth pushes in this mid lane on the Medusa. Glyph is going to be popped up. 20 seconds till the Sand King respawns. 50 until the Sven, who does have the buyback. If he expends it here, they still have an RP, so it would make sense for them to buy back the Sven here. And they will do so. Melee Rax, though, already at 50% HP. Seth and his squad going to be pretty much content with the buyback on the Sven. They're going to back out, trying to take out the Zeus, who was perhaps a bit overextended, but now they will just back out, knowing that the Sven is bought back, not wanting to give him anything, and that's going to cost him dearly in terms of his net worth at this point. Medusa going to widen the gap a little bit more, and they will take the Aegis. They do lose it immediately, but they take a pretty favorable engagement and get a tier 3 off the back of this. Well, Official going to be able to blink dodge that Stormbolt. Nicely played by the Lion near the Ancients. He will get Burrow struck up, though. Moraxis rotating through with the invisibility and Void and Crippling Fear up the Sven from the backlines if he chooses to engage without BKB. And he will be able to do so to cancel that. Carl will come through, though, to finish off the Lion, and now Moraxis in trouble as well. Skewered back, brought down. 2 heroes in about 2 seconds go down near that top rune for the Dire side. They do have the buyback on the Night Stalker, but it is not available for the Lion here. God's Strength is going to expire relatively soon, so will not have it for the high ground, but they'll at least be able to take a tier 2 here. Medusa shoving in the bot lane in the meantime, trying to force some heroes back. They're going to buy back the Night Stalker already, with the tier 2 being the only thing in danger at this point. Medusa, as she walks up to the high ground, will force back a TP from at the very least the Sand King. Walking back throughout the mid lane is the Vengeful Spirit. Seth still poking away with the Manta Style, will be able to bring down the tier 3, and now Public Services jump forward. They'll take out the Sand King too. He has no buyback. They've thwarted completely the mid lane push as everyone is running back to defend their base. But continuing to press forward, Carl, a little bit low on mana. Mana Void can do a lot of work here against this Zeus. They're going to get the range racks in the meantime. Carl utilizes some of his mana here. Stone Gaze going to be popped off by Seth to sound the retreat. Public Service going to be able to blink out. Medusa pretty much just walks away with the Flutter, Boots of Travel, and the Stone Gaze. And for free, they'll get a range racks in the bot lane. And not only that, with a hero on the sideline, they'll stymie the push that was assembling towards the mid lane from the Radiant side.
60 seconds left for the Stone Gaze. Otherwise, they probably could have gone for more in the bottom lane or a little bit in the mid lane. Either way, it should have been some sort of structures to be taken, but this is definitely the safe play here from the Dire side. Medusa is getting rather rich rather quickly. It's about time to think about getting rid of that Hand of Midas, swapping it out for something that gives a lot more damage. Manta Style is exceedingly mediocre in this game, given how much AoE and random magic damage is going to be thrown around, or cleaves and whatnot. So I'm not a huge fan of that pickup here for the Medusa, but hey, she has so much cash, you can very easily upgrade it, replace it a little bit later. And for the Radiant side, not having this Sven with buyback is going to be a problem. If he is to drop, then things get really bad. Zeus at this point has picked up his game by quite a bit. In fact, somehow he has more net worth than the Sven. I'm not really sure how that happens, but he does. So yeah, he's deceptively tanky right now and is going to be something else that the Dire side are going to have to address. But addressing the Zeus is as simple as using Crippling Fear on him. Once that's on him, he's just not that useful right now. Zeph's going to fire a couple arrows into the Zeus, gets swapped back. There is a Stone Gaze here. He won't get a chance to pop it before the stuns come out. Where's the RP? There it's not. It's actually stunned up by Official, but still the cleave on a Depot will do a lot of damage to him, as well as the Medusa. It's an instant 2-kill for the Radiant side. There was definitely a chance there to cast Stone Gaze, right? They're going to take the Raxus on bottom lane, though. The split-pushing Anti-Mage will grab that objective, so I guess worth it in the end.
It's a costly couple of kills, but Elena Rax is certainly nice, and definitely time to get the Stone Gaze off there. The idea was perfect from the Radiant side, but the execution was not, and there was a window for the Medusa to get her Stone Gaze off, but I guess she overestimated her tankiness, held onto it for a little too long. Public Service can probably kill off Carl here with a Mana Void, and he will be able to do so. Unfortunately for him, it doesn't hit on any other nearby heroes. And that'll be 1,000 gold going Public Service's way. You mentioned how the Zeus had just steadily and subtly climbed up the net worth chart. He had a wicked 6 streak going, so hadn't died in quite a long while relative to his kills. He'll give 1,000 gold over to Public Service, and you saw him be able to commit some split push there bottom with the Manta Style. He's actually right clicking somewhat decently, and now with 4,400 gold, and maybe look to pick up another item here sometime soon. Maybe just a Moon Shard to help split push continuously, but we'll see what he ends up going. He grabs up a Hyperstone for the time being, and so that kill could be a little bit costly going forward for this Radiant side, but either way, game continues to drag on.
I feel like this game should have ended by now, but this is just like pretty classic pub stuff of one team is really, really far ahead, and then they take a couple of bad fights, and then the enemy team gets a little bit more into it, and then it gets a lot more even than it really should be. But hey, that's what makes it at the very least entertaining to watch. It's like, who's gonna mess up next? During this nighttime phase, it should be the Dire to have almost complete control of how the next couple of minutes are going to progress, especially since they actually have an Assault Cuirass completed on the Anti-Mage. I do like this pick, again, respecting the Sven's damage output. Everyone else, I guess doing a little bit less damage in that regard as well. But yeah, this Anti-Mage's build is one that could have gone for like a pure damage build, like classic Anti-Mage builds, quite a long time ago, but he's rather insistently sticking on to this more supporty type build, and I don't think that's really great. Once you get the drums and the urn, I think that should be the extent of it. Going for Rod of Atos, fine if you're really crazy, but like Blinking Sphere on top of that, and not going for some sort of extra damage output or like sheer damage output is a little bit of a mistake in my opinion.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you there, and really feels like they're lacking a little bit of potency. This Midas needs to be replaced, but jump forward. Sport Luna is going to be able to Sandstorm right away, be able to blink out, and Public Service A little bit off by his lonesome here. We'll throw up the Manta Illusions. They're going to do a bit of work against the Zeus. Right now, he's sitting with 58% HP, and man, a Public Servant going to jump forward. Looks for the Mana Void. Will bring him down. He does a lot of damage to the Sand King as well. He doesn't have enough support inbound just yet, but he will be able to blink out. Now the Darkseer coming through the swap back onto Public Service. Kiandi, yeah, gonna go to work, but he gets Stone Gazed up, and this is exactly what the Radiant don't need. Now they're in a lot of trouble. The Manta Style comes out. The Sven will be brought down. He has no buyback. 100 seconds on the sideline. Public Service doing work on the enemy side of the map, and that kill on the Zeus, I mean, standing around far too long, just tanking those illusions. He's going to pay dearly for it, and none of his teammates even looking to burst down those illusions. That's going to mean this top lane of Rax easily, if not game here. So, GG game. Yeah, going to be called out. Of course, this isn't a pro game, but Seth doing work on the mid lane of Rax, and no buybacks all 4 of these heroes, so fortunate that they get caught out in the position that they did, but Public Service all by his lonesome. They don't commit hard enough to him alone, and yeah, Radiant or Medusa gonna pick up the Rapier. Not very ballsy from her whatsoever. 4 heroes dead, but looks like this one will come to a close, and they'll finally be able to crack back into the high ground after a lot of pretty decent defenses from the Radiant side.
Oh, RP. Onto everyone. Refresher Orb, unfortunately, doesn't exist. Would have been pretty sweet. Oh man, that's a shame. Night Stalker Vision definitely giving the Dire side quite a lot of advantage in that last engagement. At least more so than they really should have. The Radiant had Observe Wards all up in that Secret Shop jungle area. So you would assume the Vision advantage for the Radiant. Obviously, not quite going to go that way. Same question. Do you think this is more so Dire playing well or Radiant playing poorly?
I think the Dire played well to get their advantage, and then played very poorly trying to crack high ground. So, yeah, I mean, like you said, there was a little bit of mishmash in terms of the ideas with the item and skill build of the Anti-Mage. So we understood his concept, what he was trying to do to create space for the Dusa, and it made sense the way he item built early on, but his skill build didn't necessarily match. Felt like there was no standout play at all from either side, really. If anyone, Public Service would have been probably MVP caliber just because of how different he played the game, as opposed to in general. So, and of course, finding that kill on the Zeus at the very end. But the buyback mid lane from the Sven without anyone engaging off of it to ensure he can TP in and get some kills off the retreat was maybe a miscommunication from the Radiant, but didn't feel like the Radiant played well, didn't feel like the Dire played extremely much better, so eventually they're able to take the game. Not sure what your opinion is on it.
I'm a little bit impressed with how Carl was able to recover. Like, he was doing a astounding amount of damage by the end of that game, just because, well, first of all, he wasn't dying whenever he was being shot by the Medusa. He had all that survivability, a little bit of armor mixed in there from the Veil, not to mention the soul booster components of the Octarine. So that is a little bit impressive as well. I can't help but feel that the Radiant side would have had a much better shot in this game if they got the Blink Dagger just a couple minutes earlier on the Sand King, like 2 minutes earlier. It was like 14 or something like that, which you can definitely get a little bit earlier. Or the Sven got a MKB instead of the Daedalus. But unfortunately, there's no way to know.
That there is. So 55 minutes in, it will be able to finally break base. And we got one more game coming your way, guys. Through the wait screen. We'll let you guys watch. I'm going to get over the match ID and get into this one relatively shortly.